Today on Your Voice, Your Vote, a petition to overturn Oregon's new transportation tax has succeeded. Why one lawmaker is celebrating.
Oh, we're ecstatic.
Why another is sounding the alarm.
There's no more to cut.
The future of transportation funding in Oregon now rests in voters' hands. Your Voice, Your Vote starts right now.
From Katu News, this is Your Voice, Your Vote.
Hi, everybody. Good to have you with us on this first Sunday of the new year. I'm Deborah Knapp. Planned increases to Oregon's gas tax, DMV fees, and payroll tax are now on hold. On Tuesday, the Oregon Secretary of State's office confirmed that a petition earned enough signatures to overturn parts of a recent transportation funding bill. That means the taxes won't go into effect until voters decide on the November ballot. The group behind the petition, No Tax Oregon, is led by Republican legislators, Senator Bruce Starr and Representative Ed Diehl. After Governor Kotek passed the bill last November, No Tax Oregon launched a campaign to block the rate increases, and on December 12th, they turned in more than 190,000 signatures to the Secretary of State. What happens next, and what does this mean for ODOT and transportation funding? To find out, my colleague Angelica Thornton spoke with two of the major players on opposite ends of this debate. First, here's a portion of her interview with Representative Ed Diehl.
Joining me today is one of the referendum's chief petitioners, Representative Ed Diehl, a Republican who represents District 17, which includes East Salem, Staten, and Detroit. Representative Diehl, thanks so much for being here.
You bet. Great to be here.
Okay, so on Tuesday, the Elections Division verified more than 160,000 signatures. Now the referendum's headed to the November ballot. How do you feel? What do you think?
Oh, we're ecstatic. I mean, the turnout was amazing. We collected over 250,000 signatures all told. We knew this was going to go through and be verified. We actually collected over 3 times the necessary number of signatures.
Were you surprised by that level of support? Because it was way more than what you needed.
We were surprised. Our goal, we were confident that we could do it, even though everybody said we couldn't do it. Our goal was to collect 100,000 signatures in 30 days. We collected over 250,000 in 38 days.
Okay.
Now, overwhelming.
Governor Kotek has said the legislature's emergency funding for ODOT will be suspended immediately after the verification. She says this could lead to layoffs, maintenance station closures. Does that concern you, especially as we head into winter here?
Well, I've also heard that ODOT is going to keep maintenance at existing levels that they've had before, and they're going to continue hiring. And I'd also say to the governor, do not sacrifice maintenance and safety. That's the most important thing to the Oregon voters.
So put projects aside, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. The most important thing for Oregon voters on transportation is road safety and maintenance. So to say that that's the first thing to be sacrificed, I don't think we should be holding that hostage. I'd look at the other things that we're funding that the governor is prioritizing ahead of safety and maintenance and ask why. Why are you prioritizing those things? Why is the Democratic leadership prioritizing those things over safety and maintenance?
I'm thinking like a viewer here. The past couple of winters, I'm on the air and I'm talking to ODOT about, okay, what kind of numbers are we seeing out there as this storm hits, plows on the freeways? And they always do tell us, frankly, we don't have the resources, so please stay home. Do you think then current levels of maintenance and safety as far as our freeways go is enough even?
No, I think we should be doing more. And I think the legislature in the past has hamstrung the maintenance and safety budget. We basically tied the hands of ODOT in a lot of ways about how much money can go toward that. And the rest of it's diverted to other things. I think we need to revisit that. I think that we should have more money spent on road safety and maintenance. And the thing is, the money is there. Let's prioritize safety and maintenance first, and then look at what else we can spend money on.
So shift the money around in the budget, reorganize the budget.
That's really what the Oregon people asked for here.
Okay, so some parts of the law are moving forward, right? Including simplifying the tax structure for trucking companies, increasing oversight on major ODOT projects, a per mile electric vehicle fee that drivers are going to have to pay. Why this and not that? Did you anticipate that? Was that part of the plan here?
Well, there are some things within the bill that I did like, my other chief petitioners liked. For example, the tolling language that was put in 2017, this bill removed all that tolling language. There's also some parity things for the truckers. So there are things in the bill that we did not want to remove. So what we did is we wanted to keep the referendum simple and focused, and we focused on the things that were most that the Oregon people disliked the most, and that was the gas tax increase, the fee increases, registration increase, and the doubling of the statewide payroll transit tax.
Could lawmakers take up the transportation bill in the upcoming short session? If so, what are you expecting to come out of that?
That is really up to the governor and the Democrat leadership. What I hope to come out is, what I want to see is a full audit of ODOT, a comprehensive audit, performance audit in detail. I want to see maintenance and safety prioritized, and then I want to backfill the rest of the budget items with other lower priority items. We'll see where that goes. That's what I want to see. I hope that's what we get. I think that's what the Oregon people deserve out of this process. It's not, we can't just repeal this and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that lawmakers are willing to compromise after what you went through in the fall?
I don't think they have a choice. If they want to do something that goes against the Oregon people, all I can say is people are watching right now. Mm-hmm. They're watching their legislature. They saw this legislature ram something down their throats that they opposed, and they came out in force, in record time. This has never been done with a volunteer group. It's never been done.
Do you think that underscores what's going to happen in November?
That totally underscores.
Yeah.
I think we've changed the language around taxes and fees for years to come because of this effort.
What are you going to be working on between now and the start of this next short session?
There's a lot of things. I serve on the healthcare committee. We're dealing with some Medicaid challenges on that front. I'm also going to be helping to figure out what the solution is around transportation.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
you're going to have to work on this leading up to the session, right?
Yes. And on this issue specifically, what I want to do before we get into session is understand what's a good solution that fits what the interests are for the Oregon people. It's not going to be where the Democrat leadership wants it to be. They're just going to have to accept that and give up some things and do what the Oregon people want here.
Representative Diehl, thanks for being here. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Angelica also spoke with Representative Susan McLain to hear her thoughts on the referendum. She sits as co-chair on the Joint Committee on Transportation, the group that pushed for the transportation funding package last year. Here's a portion of that interview.
Now here to offer her perspective is Representative Susan McLain, a Democrat representing District 29. That includes Forest Grove, Cornelius, and Hillsborough. She also serves as the co-chair on the Joint Transportation Committee and co-chair of the I-5 Interstate Bridge Committee. Representative McLain, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
So what's your reaction hearing that the gas tax referendum received enough signatures to qualify for the November ballot?
Well, I don't think that was a shock to anyone.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't think that if you ask somebody if they want their taxes to go up, that anyone says yes.
Right.
And so it's extremely important for us to make sure that they understand what the dollars, the money, the budget is going to be spent on. And since it looks like it's going to make it to the ballot, it's our responsibility for them to know what the money's being spent on, what they get in the way of service, and why this very limited increase is going to help support a safe transportation system.
All right, let's talk about what the money is going to be spent on. Is it clear yet what kind of impact this is going to have on funding for ODOT and how soon?
Well, first of all, you absolutely have to know that we've been spending 2 to 3 years really trying to figure out how to have a system that is safe, a system that is sufficient in funding and also is stable in funding. And so absolutely there is going to be more cuts. both for the services and also for the people that we have the ability to hire or employ. We have had open spaces and open positions for 2 biennials, and it's in the hundreds. And because right now they've taken it to the ballot, it's a situation where until we have the vote on the ballot, there is basically going to be a frozen ability to have any of those dollars come in.
And we're talking now, January,
We're
right?
talking now.
Because ODOT has been saying to us for years, you know, we call them during winter storms and they say, hey, don't head out because we don't have the resources to clear our freeways. Is it going to be even worse this winter?
Well, first of all, understand that over the last 3 biennials, we've been cutting that agency budget because it was a situation where a lot of folks were saying, you know, try and make them more efficient. We've worked on that for 3 biennials, and they are more sufficient. We have done all kinds of reports and audits. We've had an efficiency report. They've started changing some of their systems. They've started changing some of the ways that they handle larger projects. And so it's extremely important to understand there's no more to cut. And so, yes, there will be some absolute feelings by the communities, the public, and the businesses that they are going to be shocked that all of a sudden they voted on this ballot measure and it means immediate cuts.
How soon do you think we could see the impacts? How soon will the state start feeling the impacts of this?
Well, first of all, understand that putting something on the ballot doesn't necessarily mean that you're done talking, right? Putting something on the ballot means that somebody is signaling to you, look, there's something there I don't quite understand, or there's something there I just don't know if I support. So we will continue to work on, as we always do. It's never one and done.
Right.
It's always a situation where we continue the conversations. We've had 2 years. We've had 13 different stops. We've had millions of folks give us over the last 2 or 3 years their advice and their concern, their priorities, and we will continue working on that. As far as your question, as far as timing, it is a situation where if that bill does not go forward, it's an immediate situation where there will be more layoffs, there will be more open spots that are not filled, and there will not be as many opportunities to be able to provide the services that our communities and our businesses want.
Okay, some parts of the law are moving forward, right? Including simplifying the tax structure for trucking companies, increasing oversight on major ODOT projects, and a per-mile fee for electric vehicle drivers. They're going to have to pay that. Can these offset the impact of losing the taxes in the rest of the transportation package?
So I really appreciate the fact that you did that summary for the listener, because it's important to understand that there are a wide variety of fees, but everyone doesn't pay all of them. So you've got, for example, fees that pay for transit. You've got fees that actually pay for maintenance and operation, which people care about. You have fees that are going to be acknowledged as part of finishing projects that have already been started. So they can be part of the overall stable funding, but we have a wide variety of fees because we have electric vehicles, as you point, on the road, and we want to make sure that all users pay. So yes, we are going forward with that bill on those policy issues. But understand that everybody's continuing to talk. Some people are saying, you know, should we repeal part or some of this bill?
So do you think lawmakers are going to take it up in the upcoming short session?
Well, first of all, a short session is 35 days.
Yeah.
And so there are some things that we absolutely can accomplish in the short session. But understand that we will be looking and working on this continuously in 26 and 27.
I know it was a tough fall working on this, not just for lawmakers, but for the governor too. Is she frustrated? Are you frustrated?
I choose not to be frustrated, and I choose to be optimistic, and I also choose to remember that I basically serve at the pleasure of the public, and it's very important for us to make sure we're working with the public, with our businesses, but we cannot have a good economy, we cannot have safe routes to school, we cannot have a new, stable, sufficient funding system unless we continue talking.
Representative McLain, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for having me.
When we come back, Oregon's Secretary of State breaks down how his office verified signatures on the gas tax referendum.
We want to make sure that every Oregonian's voice is heard.
What he says his office did to make sure that happened. Welcome back to the program. Just hours before the Elections Division verified signatures for the referendum petition, Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Read joined me in studio to give us a picture of what that process looks like. We also spoke with him about his priorities heading into 2026 and what he hopes lawmakers change during this year's short session. The Oregon legislature convenes annually for short sessions which last 35 days max, or long sessions which last 160 days max. This year is a short session because it falls on an even-numbered year. Now, here's a portion of my interview with Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Read. With me now is Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Read. Secretary Read, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
A petition to refer a transportation funding law to the November ballot now has more than 250,000 signatures. Secretary of State's office has until January 29th to verify that. What does this process look like?
Well, let's talk about what we're trying to do here. We want to make sure that every Oregonian's voice is heard, and we want a process that is rigorous and accessible and visible. So that's what's going on right now. We are counting and sorting all of the signatures that we received to make sure they were submitted consistently and appropriately, correctly, essentially. And then we're going to take a statistically significant sample from that total number of signatures and verify those one by one. If enough of those signatures on the sample go ahead by, with that ratio, we'll apply that to the entire number of signatures that we've received, and then we'll know if enough signatures have been submitted. If that happens, that question will go to the ballot in Oregonians. In the meantime, we want to make sure that everybody can watch that. So people can show up in person and watch that process, and we're streaming it online as well. And we will soon have an answer to that, and we'll know whether Oregonians get to weigh in.
Last month, you and 9 other secretaries of state sent a letter to the Trump administration asking about how voter data is being used. Did you ever get a response?
No. We wanted to make sure that we're expressing our concerns about how that data is being used. We've not gotten any answers ahead of time when the federal administration demanded that information, and we've not gotten any answers since about what they're going to use that information for or what commitments they're comfortable making to protect the privacy of that information. And I think that's something that all Oregonians ought to be concerned about.
Do you think that letter made it for the administration to push even harder for voter information? Because this month, the Department of Justice filed lawsuits against 6 states. 3 of those states participated in sending the letter.
Yeah, we were among the first 2 to be sued, us and Maine. So my responsibility is to protect the right of Oregonians to vote and to protect their private information. So that didn't enter into my conversation or my thinking. I want to know. I don't think they have the authority to have that information. They haven't followed the process to request it correctly. In fact, we also said you could have the same public information that anyone else can if you fill out this form and pay the $500. The response was the lawsuit that we are now subject to and in federal court on.
Okay, your office is also working on straightening out an ambitious campaign finance reform bill. It was passed last year. Now, parts of the law are set to take effect in 2027, January 2027. You've spoken publicly that there have been massive hurdles. Is your office on track to meet those deadlines?
We're going to do everything that's necessary, but what I wanted to make sure that people understand is that I think it is an essential goal for us to reduce the impact of big money in politics. It's just not acceptable that the interests of donors would come in front of the interests of Oregonians. But we've got to get this right. This is something that is really important to have all the details in place. And the bill that was passed by the legislature was acknowledged even by the proponents at the time to need more work. There are gaps in that bill. There are conflicts in the definitions. And I wanted to make sure that the legislature understands that. We're going to continue doing everything, but our chances for success are dramatically increased if we get those things ironed out and we have the resources in place to take on what is a big technical challenge and something that no other state has yet done.
You mentioned this, so what kind of resources?
We're talking about millions of dollars, and we're talking about the need to get all those things done with the kind of rigor that a big change requires. I can think about lots of other things that didn't go very well because they didn't have the rigor in place, the testing, the processing. We got to do a big RFP because we don't have the capacity to do this sort of work internally. And again, no other state has done this. So we want to get that detail right. We want to have the time. We want to deliver something that's going to work for Oregonians and that Oregonians can be proud of.
Do you expect lawmakers to change change the bill at all?
I sure hope so, because we're talking to everyone about what is not in that bill, where there are conflicts, where there are inconsistencies, where people who worked on the bill have diametrically opposed interpretations of what a specific piece of text means. So we got to get that worked out.
This month, your office filed a permanent administrative order implementing House Bill 4133. It passed in 2022. It allows voters to register online using the last 4 digits of their social security number and then a self-uploaded image of the signature. Some lawmakers have expressed concerns this change weakens Oregon's voter registration system. What's your response to that?
Well, let's talk about what it is. 4133 is the bill number. The legislature passed this and dictated to us that we implement it. So we're following the law. But what's actually happening here is we're basically putting online the same paper process that now exists elsewhere. So this is important, I think, because we want every eligible Oregonian to register to vote and to participate. That's how this democracy works. It's how people hold politicians and government accountable, and we want people to be able to do that.
We are entering 2026. Is there anything that you're proud of achieving that you're looking forward to carrying out into the new year?
Yeah, I'm really proud of where we have started to take this office. There's a lot of turnover in this office in recent years, and we're building a team that is really committed to doing the work right. That's what government's supposed to do. We're supposed to make life easier for people, and we're at the center of a lot of things. So I had a great time this year traveling around the state, meeting with 36 county clerks. These are the heroes of democracy who are out there on the front line, making sure that ballots are out there, that votes are counted accurately, that our elections come off well. And that's a big thing coming up in 2026. In addition to that, we're changing the way we decide where we are going to audit things. Instead of going with anecdotes and opinions, we're going with data. We want to go where we're spending a lot of money, not getting the results we want, where Oregonians are uniquely dependent on government getting it right. Think about foster kids, for example. We can't miss when it comes to a foster care child. So we are going to pick our audit targets based on that kind of data, and I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Reed, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
After we learned the Elections Division verified the signatures, we reached back out to Secretary Reed for a comment. Here's what he had to say. This verification process showed that this office is committed to ensuring that everyone has equal treatment and our democracy belongs to the people, regardless of party or philosophy.